21 Ancient Discoveries That Science Can't Explain. Technology is one of the most fundamental areas of any civilization. The ability to create and build is one of the characteristics that define human beings. Thanks to science and technology, we know about other planets and galaxies, as well as all kinds of organisms, including our own bodies, viruses, bacteria, the cells that make us up, and the ailments that affect us. The ability to create can be so advanced that we ourselves can't decipher it. There are many mysteries that still remain from ancient cultures, and in this video, we will see examples of creations and discoveries from antiquity that even in modern times, humanity has not been able to clarify. From a perfect sword to a revered shroud, join us in exploring these discoveries for which science still has no answer. Number 1. The powerful Viking swords. Weaponry is one of the areas that often drives technological development because wars have been frequent and inevitable in all human civilizations. Swords were the most widespread weapons in the medieval world and dominated military armaments until the era of gunpowder. However, none are as perfect as the Ulfberht swords, the powerful swords used by the Vikings. It may surprise you, but obtaining a good sword was not so simple. It cost a lot of money to make them and make them strong enough. That's why Viking swords stood out in their time. They were the best of the era, sharper, stronger, and more flexible than the others, and this was due to their manufacturing process. Ulfberht swords were made with steel by mixing iron and charcoal. Producing it was a delicate mixture. If too much charcoal was added, the sword would break easily. If too little was added, the sword would bend. Ulfberht swords had a perfect distribution of carbon. This is where the mystery lies. It is not known how the manufacturers, whose identity is also unclear, accomplished this process, avoiding impurities in the sword material. In fact, the production couldn't be replicated on a large scale without the technology created during the Industrial Revolution. Currently, there are still around 170 Ulfberht swords, all with the Viking double-edged style and the Ulfberht name stamped on them. However, this posed another problem in their time. They became popular for their quality, and it is estimated that they were sold for about 200 years. So, many other manufacturers started stamping the Ulfberht name on their swords, even if they were not made with the same quality. This made it difficult to identify the real makers and the fakes, a daunting task that has prevented archaeologists from definitively determining who created this weapon. Number 2. The mystery of Drepanosaurus. Thanks to archaeology and science, we have a relatively clear idea of what dinosaurs look like. In most cases, we associate them with large bodies that resemble reptiles. However, fossils of the so-called Drepanosaurus have challenged some of these beliefs. A study published in 2016 revealed details that would change the paradigms we know about reptile evolution. According to the study, Drepanosaurus fossils indicate that this dinosaur had long claws for digging insects in the mud. It had a bird-like head with a chameleon-like body. And while that already sounds quite strange, its most peculiar feature was its limbs, which were particularly long and muscular. All forelimbs of four-legged animals usually follow the same rules. In your forearm, in the forearm of a Tyrannosaurus rex, in the forearm of an elephant, there are always two bones, the radius and the ulna, which appear as elongated, slender, and parallel axes, explained Adam Spitchard, who led the research at Yale University. The curious thing is that Drepanosaurus doesn't have these parallel bones and breaks the patterns known in animals with four legs or limbs. It seems that this dinosaur developed individual adaptations to the ecosystem, breaking away from the evolutionary line of most other animals. Furthermore, Drepanosaurus disappeared at the end of the Triassic period, and its form was not inherited by any subsequent creature. Its curious shape was literally unique in history, at least until now. Number 3. The ALH 84001 meteorite. For nearly 3 decades, the scientific world has witnessed the development of a space controversy. In 1996, NASA scientists David Mackey and Everett Gibson claimed to have found fossils within a meteorite from Mars. Examining these remains in the laboratory, they found a structure the size of a bacterium that appeared to have a dozen segments, a head, and a tail. It was an unthinkable discovery, but soon they found other structures called swimmers, which also seemed to derive from cell-like structures. It was a discovery that marked the history of space technology to the extent that it led to the creation of a new discipline, astrobiology. However, the scientists did not anticipate the enormous negative response to their findings. Religious groups questioned the idea that science contradicted their beliefs, and critics of the research considered it impossible. Nevertheless, decades later, the results still hold, and the general consensus is that the rocks were formed on Mars with carbonates deposited in a watery environment with temperatures between 25 and 30 degrees Celsius. While critics of this meteorite have been unable to refute the study, the form of life that these parent bacteria represent and the period in which they formed are still a mystery. Number 4. The oldest dinosaur in Africa, Empyrosaurus rithi. In the summer of 2022, a group of paleontologists announced the discovery of the oldest dinosaur on record in Africa, called Empyrosaurus rithi. It is estimated that this creature measured just over 1.8 meters and weighed between 9 and 29 kilograms. This species would have lived in what is now Zimbabwe around 230 million years ago. Analysis of the fossils revealed that it was a species related to sauropods, which walked on 4 legs and had long necks and tails. The skeleton was found during 2 expeditions in 2017 and 2019. This fossil would be the oldest dinosaur for which we have information. There are very few samples of fossils from 230 million years ago. Until now, remains from this ancient period had only been found in Argentina, Brazil, and India. However, due to the scarcity of samples from this prehistoric period, many questions still remain to be answered about this ancient dinosaur. Number 5. The Voynich Manuscript. The Voynich manuscript was purchased in the early 20th century by the bibliophile Wilfrid Voynich, who gave it his name. For decades, this manuscript has puzzled linguists, cryptographers, and specialists. The manuscript is written in a completely unknown writing system that some have described as a unique code or language. Despite the efforts of numerous experts, no one has been able to decipher its content or determine its origin and purpose. The manuscript contains 240 illustrated pages filled with drawings of exotic plants, astronomical symbols, human figures, and diagrams of strange mechanisms. The writing style and characteristics of the text suggest that it was written during the 15th century, but the author and historical context remain an enigma even today. Number 6. The Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism is an archaeological object that has puzzled researchers for decades. Discovered in 1901 in a shipwreck near the island of Antikythera, Greece, this device is an ancient analog or mechanical computer. The Antikythera mechanism consists of gears and gear wheels. It dates back to the 2nd century BC and is believed to be an astrological and astronomical artifact created with the purpose of indicating celestial movements and calculating astronomical cycles, including lunar and solar eclipses. How were the ancient Greeks able to develop such a machine? It remains unknown. One of the most baffling aspects is that there is no evidence of the creation of similar technology until centuries later. This mechanism is still a mystery, and not all of its components have been found. However, it undoubtedly testifies to the levels of technological advancement achieved and perhaps lost during ancient times. Number 7. The Baigong Pipes. In a mountain in China, in an area where there is no evidence of residence or industry nearby, 3 mysterious triangular openings can be found near the summit. They contain hundreds of rusted iron pipes, many of which are inserted deep into the mountain. Some of the pipes have a fairly regular arrangement, indicating intentional design. The problem is that archaeologists have attributed their installation to a time when metalworking and the use of fire were not yet known. How could metal pipes have been manufactured? Science still does not have an answer. Number 8. The Round Stones of Costa Rica. In a deforested area of Costa Rica, a series of smooth surface stone spheres were found. It is estimated that there are over 500 rock spheres, primarily in the southern part of the country. These rocks were carved by local indigenous communities between the years 400 and 500 AD and were used until the Spanish colonization era, a millennium later. Also known as the stone spheres of the Diquas, these particular rocks are considered a World Heritage Site by UNESCO since 2014. These spheres are considered a symbol of Costa Rican identity and were discovered in 1939 during deforestation carried out by the American company United Fruit Company in Costa Rican territory for banana plantations. The mystery lies in the fact that the purpose or utility of the spheres is unknown. Furthermore, they were created during an era with many technological limitations for pre-Columbian inhabitants. Number 9. The Baghdad Batteries. Discovered in the 1930s near the city of Ctesiphon, close to Baghdad in Iraq, these mysterious artifacts are terracotta jars with a copper cylinder inside and an iron electrode. Their design resembles that of a primitive battery. These devices date back to the 1st century BC to the 3rd century AD. There has been much speculation about their purpose. Some suggest that they could have been used for metallurgical or galvanic purposes, such as electrolysis for metal deposition. However, no conclusive evidence has been found regarding their specific use in antiquity. Number 10. The ruins of Etlit Yam. The ruins of Etlit Yam are a fascinating archaeological discovery as they lie beneath the waters of the Mediterranean Sea near the coast of Israel. These underwater ruins, dating back to around 700 BC, are the remains of a prehistoric city that was once on dry land before being submerged due to rising sea levels. But what truly makes them mysterious is their preservation. Despite belonging to the Neolithic period, archaeologists have uncovered well-preserved houses, structures, paved streets, and even a cemetery underwater. The findings include everyday objects such as stone tools, ceramics, and food remains, providing a unique glimpse into life in this ancient community. How did this settlement end up submerged, and why have its remains been preserved for millennia? These questions still remain a mystery. Number 11. The Rat King. The Rat King is a mythical phenomenon that is believed to occur when several rats intertwine their tails to the point of forming an impossible knot to unravel. It is believed that this union of rats becomes a leader of the species, capable of directing other rats to provide it with food. The mystery surrounding this phenomenon lies in how it occurs, as it is not clear how such strong knots could be formed among rats, which typically exhibit individualistic behavior that prioritizes their own comfort. Some believe it is a human invention, while others argue that it is technically possible, at least on very cold days when a group of rats becomes united if their tails come into contact with some sticky substance. Number 12. The tomb of the first emperor of China. In 1974, a group of farmers discovered the tomb of the first emperor of China, one of the most famous discoveries in history. In the area, an enormous army of soldiers made from terracotta was excavated near the tomb, which is buried beneath a hill. However, even though it is a globally renowned monument, it is not known exactly what lies inside the tomb. Archaeologists refuse to excavate the site for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the Chinese government does not permit excavations due to insufficient technology to guarantee the preservation of the site. Secondly, Chinese historical documents claim that the tomb has a river of mercury surrounding it, and tests conducted on the soil in the area confirmed this assertion. Therefore, the interior and contents of this tomb remain an unsolved mystery. Number 13. The List of the Sumerian King. The Sumerian king list, discovered in the early 20th century by the scholar German Laisla, is a cuneiform tablet dating back around 4,000 years. The object is a historical document that includes accounts of mythical and real kings from ancient Sumeria. However, it still remains a mystery because historians have not been able to decipher the purpose of including fictional kings in this tablet. Number 14. The Shroud of Turin. One of the legendary objects associated with Jesus Christ is the Shroud of Turin, a cloth measuring just over 4 meters long, believed to have been placed over the body of Christ after his crucifixion. The shroud bears the imprint of the face of the deceased and is considered an ancient relic. However, researchers have estimated that this object dates back to the year 1260 AD, over a millennium after his death. Whether it belonged to Jesus or how the features of the body were imprinted on the cloth still remain unanswered questions of science. Number 15. The Atacama Skeleton. In 2003, researchers discovered a small and peculiar human-like skeleton in the Atacama Desert in Chile, known as the Ata skeleton. This skeleton measured only about 15 centimeters in height, which led many to speculate that it was either a fetus or even an extraterrestrial being. However, DNA analysis of the bones proved that it was neither of those, but indeed human. The reason for its extremely small size remains unknown. While some believe it could be a case of dwarfism or malformation, the exact explanation is still unclear. Number 16. The London Hammer. The London Hammer, discovered in 1938, is a rather ancient tool believed to have been crafted around 100,000 years ago. This implies that it would have been created long before the official record of the earliest use of hammers by humanity. Some skeptics suggest that perhaps the metal is old, but the tool itself was not fully assembled. Meanwhile, some experts have estimated a much more recent creation date, around 700 years ago, during the 12th or 13th centuries of our era. However, controversies have not been able to provide conclusive evidence against the hammer's manufacturing date, leaving its true history as an enigma. Number 17. The Gate of the Sun. This monument is a stone arch located near Lake Titicaca in Bolivia, attributed to pre-Columbian communities in the region. Archaeologists who have studied the gate believe it was part of a great empire that existed around the 1st century AD. However, the true mystery surrounding this gate lies in its engravings. The drawings etched onto the stone have not been deciphered to this day, but it is believed that they contain relevant and revealing astronomical information about this culture. Number 18, Rongorongo. Discovered during the 19th century on Easter Island, where the legendary Moai statues are found, the Rongorongo tablets bear inscriptions in a language unknown to humanity. Rongorongo is the name given to the writing system found on these wooden tablets, composed of pictorial symbols. The problem is that researchers have no idea how to translate this language, and therefore, they do not understand the purpose of the tablets. Number 19, the Volgograd discs. In 2015, a group of Russian researchers discovered over a dozen stone discs in the Volgograd region. What is astonishing about this finding is that the discs were made of tungsten, a high-density metal typically used in military devices. The origin of these discs remains a mystery, but many hypothesize that they are UFOs, possibly belonging to extraterrestrial life. Number 20, the Roman dodecahedra. These hollow objects, created with a copper alloy during the 2nd and 3rd centuries AD in the time of the Roman Empire, have the shape of a dodecahedron with 12 flat pentagonal faces. Each face has a circular hole in the center. At least 116 dodecahedra have been found since 1739 in various European countries, such as Austria, Belgium, France, Germany, Hungary, Luxembourg, the United Kingdom, Switzerland, and the Netherlands. There are 2 dodecahedra of different sizes, ranging from 4 to 11 centimeters. However, nobody knows what their function was. There is no mention or record of these artifacts in historical accounts, treatises, or even artworks. They lack numbers or engravings, so they are not believed to have been used as measuring instruments. Some theorize that they could be religious or perhaps superstitious objects, but there is nothing to confirm or refute these ideas. They simply remain a complete mystery. Number 21, a series of Stone Age tunnels throughout Europe. A vast network of underground tunnels dating back to the Neolithic period, around 12,000 years ago, has been discovered throughout Europe. Despite numerous investigations, their purpose and construction methods remain unknown. Some believe that they served as a security system, with ancient humans using these tunnels to protect themselves from predators, extreme weather conditions, or conflicts with other human groups. However, these are all hypotheses, as there is no evidence supporting these ideas. While science has made significant strides, there are still many things we do not understand about the world, including our own humanity. Each of these discoveries, however, showcases the fascinating human capacity to learn and create, while fueling curiosity. This fundamental quality has driven the development and growth of our civilizations throughout history. If you liked the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel and share it on your social networks.